I'm Tyler Kilfoil, YieldPro Specialist with Harvest Land Co-op out of the Randolph Ag location.
And I'm Steve Dlugosz, agronomist for Harvest Land Co-op.
And I want to thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about the merits of fall application when it comes to our fertilizer. So I want to ask Steve a few questions about his experience, the agronomics behind it, some of the logistics behind it, and just tap into some of the questions that I've been getting with the growers out in the field. So the first question I have for you, Steve, is when it comes to facing the headwinds that we're up against, you know, some of the growers just realistically, they're talking about potentially cutting back on some of the fertilizer program.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Well, as a whole, it's not a very comfortable idea for me, primarily because I see that good production, good profitability always comes with good fertility. So it's an easy area to cut back at. It's a big number for most farmers, but I'd like to maybe default that to a program that we have called YieldPro as a way to really evaluate where we can do that and where we can't.
You know, another question while we're on this topic of some of the headwinds that we're up against. In 2019, it's a unique year. You know, we've got some prevent plant acres out. What would be your recommendation on a prevent plant acre this year?
Well, when you look at how we make recommendations within our YieldPro program, there's two components. There's the crop requirement or crop removal, and then the soil requirement. So in a prevent plant acre, obviously didn't grow a crop, so there was nothing removed, but there's still some soil requirements. So we would still stay the course, fertilize accordingly based upon the soil test results from our grid sampling.
Okay. Another thing that ties into this, you know, the agronomics is number one, of course. The other thing is the logistics behind fall applications versus spring application. Is there any advantage or disadvantage to putting it on in the fall? I know I can tell you from experience, when it comes to the spring application, we're pressed. To be honest with you, in 2019 here, we've actually had to push some of our fall we pushed to spring, and that didn't get done this spring just because we were up against the time frame and it wasn't able to get done. So is there any advantage or disadvantage spring versus fall when it comes to our fertilizer application?
Well, agronomically, we have flexibility. The fertilizer we put on in the fall is every bit as available to the crop the following spring as it would be if it was put on in the spring. So from that standpoint, it works real well. I love the idea of going out there when the soils are fit, not being pressed. In the spring, everyone's looking for the same day to get in the field. It's just a lot more efficient to get things done in the fall.
So to wrap things up here, just to make sure we're all on the same page, the key takeaways that I have is, you know, when it comes to cutting back, when we're faced up against some headwinds, fertilizer is the last thing we want to do, cut back. We need to look at resources like YieldPro to maximize on that investment. Prevent plant acres, we still need to be considering doing a fertilizer program of some sort.
Especially with lime, there's a good opportunity to get lime on.
Absolutely. And then thirdly, there is no advantage or disadvantage to a spring versus fall application. Logistically, it's actually probably a little better to do it.
That's not as in the fall.
Okay. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Get a hold of your local YieldPro specialist to get these plans put in place.